Hi, I'm Claire from Claire Chancellor Coaching. Today I want to explore how do we handle a really big, challenging question? What do we do when a client asks a question that may kind of trigger you? And how do you keep your state? How do you be professional? How do you tackle that labyrinth, that challenge of getting to the other end of that reading? Oh, I know that I've had my fair share where I'm like, did I hear that question right? And it's been part of my growth, part of my evolution to know, how to be switched on and how to handle any type of question that comes my way. So if we take ourselves back to a time where we have been paying for a reading or receiving a reading, if you think back to what was your intention, what was your mindset like? Were you excited? Were you nervous? Was there a reason why you were after a reading to begin with? Were you looking for some clarity? Were you feeling indecisive? Or maybe you just wanted to lean into your guides and just hear a different point of view. Tarot reading can be phenomenal like that, where the guides can bring forward a new opportunity for us to see something different. But again, as a reader, we can often feel the sitter sort of tug on our energy. We can feel their stress sort of pouring out of they're radiating out of them, because they've come to us when life has hit them quite hard. Again, there's a reason why they're after a reading, and we need to be careful that they don't hand over the responsibility of their life over to us. We need to ensure that they come away from that reading with multiple options so that they can make the choice moving forward. I know for a really long time there, I was quite badly triggered by you said. You said. They would come back to me after a year like, you said, and I'd be like, okay, what did you think you heard me say? Now it's awesome when they say like, you said I would be pregnant and yay, I am, or you said, I'd get that job and yay. But that's just my personality, like, oh wow, okay, because I'm partially in a trance when that reading is happening. I know how to be professional, I know how to ask deliberate questions, but I will not apply the reading to my memory so that, a year later, oh, I do actually remember saying that. I may remember the impression that person made upon me or how the guides made me feel, but I won't remember the detail like the sitter will. So yeah, so I'm deliberate to ensure that my sessions have a level of structure, so that if like you said, and it, something negative, I'd be like, wait a minute, let's explore what the original question was. So I do not do readings for people under the age of 18. I'm a mum of 4 daughters, and I know how they can, Chinese whispers what somebody says. And it's just my choice to not carry the burden of that kind of responsibility. They're such an impressionable age, and it's just something that I myself have a boundary on. It's important for you to connect in with your guides and to really ensure that there's that communication between you and your guides or your gatekeeper to know the type of sitter that you want sitting in front of you. Makes sense, right? Like, as you're giving up your time, your energy. So let's get clear on the type of person that you want to work with. I would say, let's bring in those people who are respectful of my time. Let's bring in those people who are willing to pay for all of my life's mastery, to sit there and give them a level of a reading with integrity, of the highest value, of the highest truth. I'm going to work with people who are open spiritually to explore what is possible. And so that I could go into a lot more specifics about the type of client that I'm manifesting, but it's important that you know the type of client that you want to work with. So first of all, now I want to give you some examples of some tricky scenarios that I've found myself in with some really challenging questions from a sitter. They have every right to ask that question, but it's like, okay, how do I manage those situations? And I want to be able to impart my wisdom to you so that you feel ready for, tricky situations that may come up. So the one that first comes to mind is, will he leave his wife for me? Oh, this question came up before I was even charging for readings. I was still in that practice mode. And when this question came up, I was like, wow. I had no judgment on the scenario, but I did feel the weight of the responsibility on how I was going on, like the answer that I was going to give them. It's one of the reasons why I had invested in business coaches and spiritual mentors to be able to help me with these kinds of boundaries. So going back to that, will he leave his wife for me? The cards really clearly showed me that he had no intention of leaving his wife. He had a need to be needed. She had a need to be needed, whereas he had the energy of wanting to escape the responsibility of being a dad, being a provider. He just got so caught up in that immediate gratification, and she went along with it for the ride. I could see in her energy that she had so much love to give, and yet she was putting herself second. In that particular reading, it was my job to help her see things in a different way. It was my job to give her some options moving forward so that she recognized that life wasn't happening to her, it was happening for her. And that there were some choices that she needed to make to wake up to her own value. So a lot of that's one of the reasons why I then went into coaching, was to explore, her value and why she was putting herself second, and doing some inner work with her to be able to say, you know what, I deserve better. And so, yeah, with that kind of scenario, if you find yourself in a tricky situation like that, how would you answer that question? Will he leave his wife for me? So let's move on to the next one. I've been diagnosed with cancer. How much longer do I have to live? Now, again, this was a rookie mistake of mine. It wasn't a rookie mistake. I didn't make any mistake, but I remember feeling like an elephant kind of sit on my chest when she asked that kind of question. She was bawling her eyes out, and I could hear her little ones in the background. And so while her diagnosis had been gut-wrenching, I'm telling you now, you do not specifically answer that timing question of how much longer do I have to live. A, you guides are not allowed to actually tell you that. And B, we have free will. We have many exit points to leave this world, and whether it's the cancer that takes her or a car accident next week, we don't really have the right to go and look at that, do we? So our minds are incredibly powerful, incredibly powerful. And so if we believe that life isn't worth living, going into that awful festering, allowing the disease to take us, then that is what we're putting in motion to create. If we're somebody who believes that life is worth cherishing, to see the good in life, to feel grateful, appreciative, the birds are chirping, more doors will start to open for more opportunity. As a hypnotherapist, I have worked with people who have tumours on their ovaries. Now, what I know about the health and the way that the body shows up with with tumours and things like that, she had a history of being sexually abused as a little one. So she was still holding on to that festering anger, which manifested itself as a tumour on her ovary, about the ugliness and the insecurity about being feminine. So when we were able to go in and talk to the tumour at an unconscious level within hypnosis, we could start to clear away that sense of powerlessness. We could close the door on the past. We could get her feeling valuable as a woman, that she could finish that chapter and be really free of the past to move forward. And with that particular story, not that I would advertise it, but that particular story, she did so much work with that self-exploring, self-inquiring to resolve the anger, the resentment, the powerlessness, all of that. She worked so hard that when she did end up going to have surgery, the tumor had shrunk so much, and the outcome was so much more desirable compared to when she first met me. So I'm really quite proud of that story. It's happened a few times with my clients, so it definitely shows the power of the mind and the reality that we can create for ourselves. So all right, scenario number 3. Scenario number 3, what can you tell me about my teenage daughter? Oh, okay, so the question didn't bother me, but what did bother me was how upfront, and I love the cards for being upfront, but what I did not appreciate with the cards was that I pulled the Eight of Swords. Now, if you remember the Eight of Swords there being the woman who's bound and down on herself, feeling trapped within herself, I knew at a glance that teenage girl was actually quite suicidal. I knew there was a reason that mum was asking that question, and I just knew that, you know, I could not actually say those words without building a level of rapport or exploring that question with multiple different angles. So what did I do? I pulled another card, and I got the 10 of Swords, and I'm like, team, seriously, even the client sitting in front of me, she's seeing all of this blackness, this grayness, and I'm like, there's no amount of roses that I can do right now to cheer this up, to get an optimistic point of view. So then what did I do again? Pulled another card and got the Tower card. I'm like, right, okay, so okay, all right, we need to be upfront and honest, black and white, with what's coming to the surface here. So what we did was we explored other types of questions. What's going on for her at school? What's going on for her with her boyfriend, with work, with her home life? And the team were really quite clear and specific about that there was a reason why she was feeling that way. And there was also a reason and a path to move forward on, that if she did get the right kind of help, that her mind would free up, that she could kind of step back into her self-empowerment there. And thank goodness that the team brought that forward, because otherwise that mum would have left feeling pretty heavy and weighed down. And that's my intention, is not to my intention is always to have a sitter come away feeling lighter, more options, more choices. And that's the thing in this quantum reality, is when we have more choices, we're a lot more empowered. So this is, again, another reason why it is so important to have a spiritual mentor or a business coach or somebody there who you can bounce ideas of how would they approach that, how you can manage that in a different way. You know, maybe some of your gatekeepers need to resign and call forward different guides to stand forward to hold your energy better. There's lots and lots of different ways you can protect yourself from situations like that. So yeah, I think I've done my apprenticeship. See those people coming before they even book in. So be in your power, take the lead. I hope that helps. I'm Claire from Claire Chancellor Coaching, and I look forward to talking to you soon.